Okay, we're back. Welcome, everybody. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to go ahead and start off a little bit differently this time. Usually we do the recap before we fully get going for our live audience. We're going to bring this in now for everybody. So I have a very important question. Who would like to do the recap?
Star, let's go.
So, y'all, it has been a hot 3 days for us.
Yo! Great.
Stop! So, since it's been, a month, just a slight catch up, we got here about 3 days ago, met each other, started processing each other's emotional feelings, and hiding things from each other, of course. So we started doing some tasks for the Magaambya. We got chickens that are apparently some sort of magic. We decided to go ahead and fight some gremlins. What were they called? Pugwumpies?
Yeah.
Pugwumpies, yes.
Pugwumpies. And only one of us could understand them with a Bostonian accent, but we were able to defeat them and get them on. So we're riding high thinking we're pretty hot, And then we got our next assignment. After eating many, many, many peanut butter waffles. And we were asked to get lucky bones, caterpillars, and mushrooms. And one of those we had to go out to the forest to get. So we headed out there.
Simple.
Yeah, simple little errands. Not a problem. So that we could do a ceremony to try and get rid of gremlins. We head out to the forest, and we are met by a mushroom man who threw some spores at us, and a few of us got a little bit sick. Tal got real sick. Hideaki went down during that fight. We got him back up. That messed up Tal too. And we started to learn that Tal felt the need to go find the Myconid colony. So we ended up having to knock out Tal to get them back to school. So, we're feeling real good about ourselves these days. Ark was able to complete our errands for us because Ark is our rock. Let's be honest here. And Hideaki, Arafe, and Ark got the oils ready that we needed to do for our ritual. We failed our ritual, which was a great amount of fun. And we headed back to our dorm to find that Tal had once again gone missing, despite the fact that there was a guard on their door. We ended up trying to find them, eventually did, and Hideaki was able to get them back home, where we all hung out in Tal's room to make sure that they would be able to sleep and wouldn't get away again. And when we woke up in the morning, Tal was dead. And Hideaki is starting to lose his shit.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where we left you guys.
Yeah, so from my recollections, you guys, basically, I think it's Hideaki scooped up Tal's body, ran out of the room, ran out of the dorms, everybody in tow, Arc to bullhorning for a teacher, I believe.
I think a healer.
Mm-hmm. A healer.
Yeah, and I think I said we need a healer. There's got a death.
Yep.
Right. So to set the scene, that's where we'll focus in on kind of running through the Magaambya campus right now towards probably the last place that you spoke with the teacher was with Teacher Ott. So off to his direction you go.
No doubt. And yelling and screaming the whole way. Where is everyone?
It's honestly not long before, people are coming out of buildings, taking a look, seeing what's going on. And as you kind of get to like the center of campus, coming out of the Heron Archives as well, is Teacher Ott. And he, honestly, when you look at him, he looks, honestly, you're probably not paying attention. There's other things to focus on. So he's coming out, rushing out, comes to meet you. He sees the situation. He sees Tal in your hands, in your arms, and he there's this crestfallen look on his face, and it's there for a split second before he's like, come now. And he herds you all into the Heron Archives.
Okay.
Okay. To check in, Arafe.
Yes.
There we go.
Hey. Yeah, we're going strong, huh? We're just jumping right in there.
Yeah. So there's this pull. The thing is that you woke up to action, to say the least. And I don't think it's hard to just simply be pulled along with this crowd, with like, okay, we're walking here. You're not really fully able to take a second to think. But as you enter the Heron Archives, this is kind of where you pause. All of you pause for the very first time. Teacher Ott comes up to you, Hideaki, and is just like, come. Let me take her. We have people on the way.
I left them alone for a moment, and then they ran away, and then the second time they died. I can't.
I understand, but there is... Okay. All right. Then...
Show me where to go.
He leads you all into this... For lack of it's actually like a classroom, I think, okay. But it's not one of the main ones that is used. It's empty. There's the teacher desk up front, which he clears off and puts, kind of gestures for you, like he lays down a cloth over the desk and gestures for you to put the body down there.
And he'll probably take an actual like breath for the first time, and then go ahead and place them on table or desk.
Mm-hmm. He kind of nods to, it's, those kind of auditoriums that, smaller, not big ones, but those college lecture halls, for lack of a better purpose, where it's a couple steps down with rows of seating, and then like the main teacher section down below. So there's that front row of seats that's kind of right by that table, and he kind of gestures for you all to settle in.
Yeah, Ark will settle in almost immediately.
Arafe will look at the group and say, I'm gonna go see if I can find more help. But she sounds slightly slurred. But I'll go see if I can find anybody else to help us, and I'm gonna start heading for the door without waiting for a response.
Ark will step in front. I think you are of better use here. I don't imagine there is more help than Teacher Ott out there.
Teacher Ott kind of like, yes, help is coming. We gave word for some assistance as soon as we heard yesterday. Fortunately, they were called away from the school and immediately headed back. They should be back at any point.
Well, maybe I should wait outside to show them where we're at.
Arafe? If either one of you are away from my sight for more than a second, I will fix it.
Teacher Ott kind of looks concerned at you, Arafe, and kind of steps in front of you, puts a hand on either arm, goes and kind of like tries to gently guide you to a chair, to one of those seats. Sit.
As he guides it, there's some slight resistance.
Mm-hmm.
As she is still trying to just kind of get around. We need to help Tal. We should focus on Tal.
And we're waiting for the other teachers to arrive. Are you feeling well? And he's going to kind of just do a medicine check basically on you to identify the signs of what you're clearly exhibiting, I would say.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
He looks up and gives like a look over to Hideaki and Ark, and he kind of like gives you this meaningful glance, and then goes back to looking at you, RFA. You are not. You are to sit here. Hold. And he has like an arm, like basically, or hand on your arm to basically. He's not forcing you to keep in that chair, but at the second that you resist, he's there. You know what I mean? He's still gonna be around.
Art, until he is needed, is going to stand in front of the exit.
And
Perfect.
As soon as Ark moves, they shift from behind Faye as is summoned.
Overnotes is summoned. Okay. And as he does, I mean, you heard his voice in your head this entire time. And it's almost been like drowned out with your it's only once you summon him and you see his presence that you're like, he's been trying to talk to me this whole time. And you've just been kind of like putting it out. And Overnotes looks at you like with this mixture of like, it'll be fine. Breathe, Hideaki.
So, knowing that Arafe wants to get out of here, she's gonna cast Read the Air.
Okay.
So it's I suppose they'd notice because it's somatic and verbal. So maybe she wouldn't. Never mind then.
And no worries.
They'd notice. They're right there.
It's Ark. You're by the door. You're probably the first to hear the outside door to the Heron Archives open. And you hear like footsteps coming in. And they seem like rushed as you hear like a where? Okay. And then the sounds kind of get louder to the door that you're in front of. The door just swings open. And standing in front of you is, I will say, an elf. Although she looks perhaps different than any that you've seen before. This is something super cool that I found out, and I love to also throw some lore in there. So while I'm sure it's not necessarily on anybody's mind right now, I would love for anybody that may be interested or may consider that they would know what kind of elf this person is, can make me a society check.
I would be interested at any other given time, but not right now.
That's totally fair.
Very fair.
That's a 21.
21. Okay.
Knowledge aficionado, 21.
Yeah. It's like passive, you know. It's like
No
it's
doubt,
not
yeah.
that you're like racking your brain of like, where have
Who
I
are you?
seen
What's
this
the
before?
password? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you're seeing somebody walk in for the first time. So let's describe this person. We're gonna show to the players as Teacher Ott goes, Teacher Lacetti. This
Love it.
this individual, yes, is an Ali J elf, and I potentially am mispronouncing that, so I apologize. Ali J elves are unique because they're known to have patches of light skin, white hair, and specifically eyes that glow red or orange. You've, like, in passing, Hideaki read about these, and it's interesting because you've heard, like, it's kind of like a rumor, people, like, talk about them, and you know that the rumor about them is that they say that the life and color is draining from their people, hence the vitiligo aspect of their skin. And people are saying that it's replaced by the infernal glow of sinister powers that they rely on. It's like this kind of like, ooh, these kinds of elves. It's like, it's you've definitely read that in the past, and you're like, I've never actually met one. They're relatively reclusive.
Somebody RFA needs to talk to you.
Also, I love her.
Yes,
Absolutely.
she's freaking
No doubt.
amazing.
She's beautiful.
She's amazing. And unfortunately didn't quite pass the full DC, so that's all you know.
That's a lot. So I'm great.
But it's so cool. There's so much more, guys. I want to share this. I went down a rabbit hole with
me roll for it then. No, it's cool.
And what you don't notice at first, because you're kind of taken aback by this presence. And by the way, as Teacher Odd called her, Teacher Lissetti, she's tiny. Okay. She's this tiny little thing with a presence. She threw that door open, and like Ark, you're looking across from you, and then you have to like kind of look down a little bit. She's dressed in like this pink caftan adorned with a lot of little tiny bones, and she looks at you and says, "Move."
Ark
There's also a
hesitates a
dragon butt
moment.
right in front of her.
Yeah. Ark hesitates a moment, glances back at like Teacher Ott as if to make sure it's okay because he doesn't know this person.
Mm-hmm. And you did hear Teacher Ott go, Teacher Lissetti, as soon as like he laid eyes on her.
Okay. Then Ark would nod and step aside.
Perfect.
And back in front of the exit.
Okay. Because you're still standing there. Following her immediately is a even smaller Leshy. If anybody is not familiar with Leshies, they are
the best ancestry there is in Pathfinder.
Waffles' favorite ancestry. They are plant people. There's vine Leshies, there's gourd Leshies. It's really, really cool. I love the ancestry, to be honest. But she kind of, it kind of looks at you, looks up at you, does some kind of hand gesture, waves, and follows behind. Doesn't speak, seemingly. At least doesn't say anything to you. And they kind of walk down the steps, come around to the front to take a look.
Was the hand gesture like a way to communicate, or was it magic, or was it something I have never seen before?
They made eye contact with you, and yeah, it seemed like it was a way. It was communicating to you.
Okay.
It didn't seem like a spell component type thing.
Okay.
As they begin to sort of step forward, Hideyaki was just, can you fix them?
Teacher Lissetti like looks at you. Let's find out. And she's going and focusing, and she immediately goes up to Tal's body and kind of looks around, kind of seems to be looking for some components, and she just goes, Tarne, the things, please. And quick little shout out to this Leshy. This Leshy is named by our lovely Patreon Cam, who I affectionately call our #1 New Zealand fan. It's awesome. It comes from mythology and all sorts of stuff. So he helped me make Tarne, and I really appreciate it. So just quick little shout out there. Okay, cool. So, and the little Leshy quickly follows, and you see them kind of reach in to their head, which is this like gourd, and pull out like a little satchel, like a little pack of things, and they go to pass Arafe and to like hand this pouch to Teacher Lissetti, and then they pause, kind of look over Arafe, and then they kind of turn back to Teacher Lissetti, put the bag on the table, and sign to her something that none of you all potentially understand. And she signs, and Teacher Lissetti looks at her and is just like, looks over to Arafe. All right, well, do that, and then let's start. Yes.
Can I ask if this sign is any kind of part of a language?
It is.
Would I know it if I know? No, probably.
Since he knows like 9 languages.
Yeah, sorry. I would. I thought I actually knew Sylvan, but I don't. So.
It's I wasn't quite sure how to handle that in terms of when you know a language, it doesn't necessarily mean that you would know, like, the sign language of that language is its own language,
Yeah.
I want to say.
The only reason I wanted to ask is because my background is or I think it's my type of android. Yeah, is a polyglot,
Right.
which is
Right.
like part of my, like, I know a lot of languages and like stuff like that. It's like linguistics basically, like.
Yeah, I would say, like, in the books that you had in your cave, which sounds terrible, in the books that you had, you probably had maybe one passing, like, thing on sign language. It's one of those things that is, while there was pictures depictioning, you know, some common things potentially in common, it wasn't a whole language to learn through a book, and it wasn't, it's something that's very difficult to learn via just a book.
Okay.
You can clearly see, though, because of the polyglot, I'll say, like, that it is a communication, that it is a language, right? That's what it is. Sorry, as I look at Twitch chat. Okay. So at this point, to both Teacher Ott and to you, Hideaki, are you next to Arafe?
No. Overnose is right behind Arafe. I'm right next to the table that
Okay.
or desk. Actually.
She'll kind of like point to you then, the little Leshy, and point to Arafe. And you can tell that this time she's not quite signing in the language, although she does it in between, and she tries to mostly just get the gist across, and she points to you, points to Arafe, kind of holds up her one vine tree hand, and with the other hand kind of clasps the wrist, kind of saying, like, and then points back to Arafe. Like,
I like he just does. Points to a temple like that, as if to say, like, is there something up with?
They nod, but then kind of like hurry you along, like do this message, like go to Arafe, like go in that direction.
I'll look back at Tal, and then just kind of like grab their hand for a second, and then.
Is Teacher Ott still by me?
He is.
Okay.
And he's on the other side of you, and kind of seeing this will also kind of tighten his grip on the other side as you're seated there. For the next 10 minutes, Tarnay is going to cast a spell on you, Arafe.
Okay.
This is the 10 minutes that you are made to sit still, however difficult that is to you. And
yeah, she's a less confrontational or less like physical person, so it's less of trying to get out. You guys, you need to focus on Tal. I have somewhere I need to be, so you guys just go take care of Tal, and I'll go do what I need to do. Like, just kind of trying to convince people to let me go.
And this little Leshy is not looking at you, nor giving like any crap, it seems like. For the eyes of anybody else, they're just like focusing on their spell and doing on this. So for the next 10 minutes, Tarnay is casting Remove Disease.
Okay.
Where were you on episode 5?
I'm not gonna lie.
There weren't there?
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't realize the tension that was sitting in my shoulders until right this moment.
Yes.
I mean, you're
yes.
going to roll
There you
away
go.
from death, as we learned. So
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I'm too glad you just said that, Star, because I literally just did the same thing.
I just felt it all go.
Oh, yes. Everything's on my shoulders still.
So I just, for those that are learning Pathfinder2e and the like, Remove Disease is not a cure-all in that sense. I'll read the description. It says, healing magic purges disease from a creature's body. You attempt to counteract one disease affecting the target. Counteract is potentially one of the more confusing aspects of Pathfinder2e.
it's so complicated.
It is complicated, but because I knew this was coming, at the very least, I did some behind the scenes, like, quick math to figure it out. I don't really want to get into it. It is complicated. If anybody has questions, feel free. But when it comes from a spell, there's both a DC and a level difference and all sorts of weird things that are involved in it. Let's not worry about that. Is the call that I'm making. But I want to say I recognize that. I know that's a part of this, and I am considering it in everything. So I'm going to roll a check for myself here. And this will be the counteract attempt, and it'll be the full 10 minutes.
Natural 1.
That's
You shut up. Natural
I would
18.
like to ban Waffles from your own channel. / ban. Why isn't it working? I will say, hearing Airface say that, do you think, after everything that we've seen past 24 hours, that whatever place you have to be, more important, I want you to understand I am angry and sad, tired. I will use every physical fiber in my being to stop you from leaving.
I understand. But we all know I'm not useful here. But the smile doesn't crack, like it's still there.
You are useful. Or want.
You cut out a little bit there.
You are useful, and you are wanted here. Because we are a team.
But I'm not useful.
Just because you believe that doesn't mean it's true.
Teacher Ott, with a look of like true emotional pain, like empathy and just like seeing the situation, seeing this conversation again, just on the other side of you, Arfe. He kind of looks at the two of you and then glances up at Ark, standing at the exit. Kind of waves for Ark to come have a seat as well. Listen, while this, and by the way, Ark, do you move too?
No. Ark stays at the door, based on how RFA is acting currently.
Mm-hmm. He like starts for a second as like, okay, fine, and like acknowledges that and continues. Listen, this school wouldn't have chosen anybody who wasn't talented, useful, with opportunity, without a way to make a difference in this world. It is important to us. And as the teacher who approved each and every one of you, I do feel it is my responsibility. What happened was beyond anyone's expectations. I hope you understand that, and nobody would expect you all in your first week to deal with what you have dealt with. That is my responsibility. And I apologize. But Arafe, you are very useful. You hold this together. I've seen it. You've held this group together. I know your past, and one of the reasons you've come here. You have a lot of questions unanswered. Don't dismiss yourself without first trying to get those answers. There's more in you than even you know.
I guess I'll know when I'm useful again.
And until then, we'll remind you.
Tell,
Oh, I'm just taking a snooze. I'm just taking a little nap.
That's a little napski.
Little snooze all over here.
Fargo now?
Listen, I grew up in northern Minnesota, so like it just kind of slips in here.
Oh, you're just sleeping like the death, don't you know?
Oh yeah, you know, it's just the winter time. You just kind of gotta bed down for a little while, you know. We'll just get some hot cocoa up in here.
Maria, you and I have to have a Minnesotan talk one day.
We
just so
have-
people
oh,
see
yes.
how
The podcast.
It's been years, and every time I yes. Anyway, hello.
back into it.
All right. Tal. You find yourselves in the woods. As my dog shakes his collar.
That's just a woodpecker. It's fine.
Yeah, it's a wood. Yeah. Mhm. You find yourselves in the woods. Yourself in the woods. Goodness.
All of us.
All of
All
your
of us.
thoughts muddied, unclear. The flora here is familiar. This is not the jungles on the outskirt of Natanbu that you so recently found yourself in. This looks way more like the forests that you're used to passing through with your caravan, with your family. Unfamiliar to you, however, is the mist that's kind of rolling through the trees, dense, hanging low, obscuring the ground. And as you look down, you realize you can't quite see your own feet through this mist. And as you concentrate on that thought, you slowly realize that you don't feel the ground you seem to be standing on either. There's a shadow of movement through the mist. And kind of like a breeze circling in an exact spot, the mist kind of parts. And ahead of you reveals a tiny white and blue three-tailed ferret. Nim. The name comes to you. And as it does, you remember. You remember asking Nim to watch over your friends as you tried to find anything that would quiet the overbearing urge and need to find the myceloid colony. You remember stumbling through the campus, tired and weak, and the dawning realization, followed by bitterness and exasperation, that even in this task, you would fail. Nim pulls your attention from your thoughts as it kind of runs in that little clearing in a small circle and kind of takes off in a direction. Interestingly, the mist kind of dissipates where it runs, leaving a clear path of forest floor. What do you do?
I think that they kind of like not really used to, this is a new sensation, being like in this space but not really feeling like they're in this space, and seeing it's familiar but not really. They're just a little bit kind of like after you wake up from a midday nap that went on a little bit too long. That's kind of how they feel.
I know that feeling so well.
What year is it?
Yeah, right, exactly. So they take a moment, and then we'll follow after Nim.
Okay. There's this like transition as you step from the mist onto the forest floor that Nim revealed. The solid ground greets your foot. You feel the leaves and twigs and dirt underfoot. And as like the last bit of you, your tail, leaves the clinging mist, you start to hear. And you didn't realize until you start to hear how quiet it was. But you don't hear the sound of birds or insects or leaves rustling. You hear the sound of voices. Failure is difficult, is it not? disappointing, really. An even-tempered and disinterested voice replies. Shh, they're here. The vibrant, young voice cuts through even sharper than the rest. The first one was an elderly voice, by the way. I forgot. And you watch Nim, as you follow along, stop ahead of you and then kind of climb up a tree on the edge of the mist. And it's a bit away from you, ahead of you.
I want to look around and see if I can find... Do these voices sound familiar?
Make a... Gosh, what would be appropriate?
Listen check.
Do a will saving throw?
Oh dear.
It's not quite like that, but you know.
Yeah.
You can make a wisdom check if you want. Like
Yeah,
the stat
but I
itself.
like
Oh,
this. That's
okay.
cool.
Yeah.
That's
Okay. Is now question. Am I still stupefied 3 for the purposes of these rolls?
That's a fair question.
It's fine if the answer is yes. I just gotta know before I push the button.
Facts.
No.
No,
That would
okay.
imply connection to your body.
Oh, how interesting.
Yes.
Very cool. I like this for me. I would like to get rid of this. I would like this to go away now, please. Thank you. Oh, I just have to push that button. Beautiful. All right. You said a will saving throw. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
All right.
13. There's like, you know, like when there's a weird tug in your conscious, like almost like deja vu, but at the same time, you're like, no, these do
There's
not
no
sound
way.
familiar.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll look around and kind of while I'm still looking around, just like hesitantly walk towards where the tree that Nim went up and if necessary, climb up there and follow wherever they went.
So, as you kind of approach, the mist is all around you. And as you're kind of looking around, like behind you, where you came from, is now also mist. And it's not encroaching. It doesn't feel like if I don't keep moving, it's coming after me kind of a deal. It's just, there's like a perimeter around you.
It's like walking through fog where like around you it's not, but then everywhere else it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So where you saw Nim kind of climb up that tree, what you thought was a tree shifts. And as it does, a towering silhouette distinguishes itself from the shadows of the trees and lumbers towards a chair. It kind of rolls away from. Nim is perched on its shoulder. Come now, Taliatia of the Sojourning Song. It's been a while since you graced our fire. Take a seat. The elderly voice emerges from this figure. And as you... Well, actually, do you approach?
Not right away. There's a very long pause. And before moving forward, they'll say, have I been here before? I've been here before.
There is no response as they wait.
I think they'll even more hesitantly than like walking up to this tree / now person is gonna like very slowly
Take the steps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So kind of like, it's not so much like how much progress you move, but the second that you make that motion forward, that like, okay, just a couple steps, the mist seems to roll back a little bit further, revealing a campfire stones laid out in a circle with a metal frame, kind of like the Hebrew letter chet, which, if anybody knows, that's a reference people know. Like a little thing arching over the top of the fire. From it hangs an iron pot where something warm and hearty seems to be cooking. There's no other seat, just the wooden stool that this, as you kind of like approach slowly, like shawl draped figure seems to be hunched over in. Go ahead and make me a perception check.
How big are they? How tall? How much? How much room are they taking in? How?
Let me. I had
Like,
this
I know there's
somewhere.
big, and then there's like.
Sure. So Pathfinder terms, they are large.
Cool,
But I believe that I have a thing. Oh, okay. 14 feet tall.
Awesome. Love this. Natural 20 plus 2, 22.
Ooh. What a time. Okay.
What a time this is. What a fantastic time we're having.
Okay. So you kind of approach, and are you kind of like sitting down on the ground in front of the fire yet, or just kind of just as you approach?
I think that they would want to go to the other side of their intention is to go to the other side of the fire so that they're like, not that they're afraid of this person yet, but so that they can see them easily, and still have like the light of the fire and everything. Talk face to face as opposed to like side to side.
Right. Yeah, and I should have said like the stool that they went to sit on is like opposite you, so it's not, you can.
Oh, okay, then yeah. Wherever the opposite is, that they went to sit. That's yes.
So you kind of sit down and you take that moment, as dexterous as you are, you kind of like you sit down smoothly and you kind of look and you try to angle yourself as you sit to kind of see if you can see under this shawl and see what this figure is. You see, we'll go bottom up. The light of the fire catches the bottom of what seems to be like a skirt. It's green with a edge of darker green that has these sort of like golden patterning on the hem. And the light kind of catches a little bit of the gold patterns. And you kind of look further up. This shawl is this huge draping fur cloak of a kind. And the way it drapes seems to simply be covering most of the rest of their body. But peeking out from under it are blonde braids. Braided hair. You see like a one braid and another kind of poking out very barely from under. The face is fully in shadow.
Neat.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Very cool. I don't. It feels like we've met before. You seem to know who I am?
The figure shifts, and it leans back and crosses one leg over the other. It's a pity to see you back so soon. It puts us in a difficult situation, you see. We still have a debt that needs to be paid. This voice is completely different than the voice that had just emanated from it. The legs uncross, but only to kind of draw inwards into like a crisscross, and it leans forward almost eagerly. Do you remember, Tal? Do you remember what we showed you?
No, I don't remember who you are.
And we're gonna go back to our friends here.
Rude. Well done.
I'm loving this so much.
So now the hair on my arms are on ends for a different reason.
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta get back into Hideaki mode because I was just in like Jacob fan mode. Like, oh my god, look at this.
So side little like giddy fangirling moment from me. Like, I was sitting not knowing what to do at the end of last session, and I went down this rabbit hole, and this was my it was so exciting. Like, I cannot explain. Like, when I find the things that you're looking for and you're like, this will work. And so I am fucking excited. All right.
I'm so proud of you. You're amazing.
Thank you.
So good.
So good.
So with a success from our little Leshy friend, Tarnay, after 10 minutes have passed and conversation, sorry. I'm seeing notes from Star who's just like, what the actual fuck?
Yep.
Amazing. I love it.
Hug your note takers, everybody.
Yes. So these are 10 minutes. We did have some conversation. As it kind of draws to an end, the Leshy kind of, which was at some point moved from like kind of going all over Erifei, like, you know, like checking, doting on them, kind of like this, that, the other, doing things for the spell. At some point, as 10 minutes is a long time to cast a spell, they find themselves into like a cross-legged seat on the floor in front of the chair. And they let out this breath. And like, if you look at them, because it's probably the first noise that has emitted from them, for the first time, like, you can see how tired they look, or haggard almost. It's like you heard from Teacher Ott a mention of that they were like summoned, they had left and they had been summoned yesterday. So likely they were traveling this whole time to get back. And they get up, they turn around to Teacher Lissetti and sign that they are done. And let's not delay anymore. Let's begin. Teacher Lissetti has been, meanwhile, setting up a ritual. Teacher Ott, at the end of this spell, looks you over, Erifei. It was hard to fight these needs and urges of the myceloid colony, almost like calling to you, like, I gotta go to the forest. I just need to find them. I just need to find myself there. Like, this is, I can't stay here any longer.
They could probably help Tal, is what was going through her mind.
Yeah, like, well, they'll have answers, like, we can do something about this, I gotta go. And like, the 10 minutes was excruciating because it built. The longer you just sit still, you weren't moving, this urge built. But you also kind of halfway through felt the magic cutting its way between that urge in your brain, a little bit of a buffer. And that conversation that Teacher Ott and Hideaki and you were having, kind of like a distraction. And as that conversation ends, where Teacher Ott, apologizes for the fact that you had to deal with this wasn't the intent, and that you do have a lot to give still. When the Leshy sighs and stands up, you realize that urge has quieted. I need to double check. I think the stupefied condition will last until you have a long rest, or long rest.
I'm fairly certain, unless she gets like a lesser restoration or something similar cast on her.
Okay, so the condition is in place, but the disease is gone?
You are no longer diseased.
Thank all the gods.
For a natural 18,
whichever one you choose.
From the Leshy, along with the level they are compared to the level that this disease is technically, it was, I think, a critical success, which is amazing. You didn't even need it. Technically, with this, you could have been okay with a failure. Funnily enough, it still weirdly works. It's a whole weird thing. But like I said, this stuff's weird. But yeah, so you're kind of thinking for yourself for the first time.
I guess the only thing that she would go is, I think I need to learn that one.
The less she kind of like turns around, gives you a smile, taps their head, nods, and
Thank you.
just from that point on, like, seems to literally just be assistanting. Yep. That's
one.
Yep, that one.
Syrup EXE has stopped working.
Yo.
To teacher Lissetti. The next bit, as teacher Ott tells you, which actually kind of like, and pats down for just a second and hands teacher Lissetti a diamond. And as he does, he's like, all right, so teacher Lissetti here, along with Tarne and myself, will be casting a ritual.
May I help?
Kind of looks at you. This ritual takes a day. It will take the entire day.
That is fine.
If you wish to, and if you have the, kind of looks at teacher Lissetti, who goes, I only need 2 secondary casters. And she, like, clocks teacher Ott, Tarne, and then goes back to what she's doing. And teacher Ott kind of like,
Ark snaps his head at teacher Ott. I failed my last ritual. I would like to learn. I won't fail again.
I think, teacher Lissetti, that, correct me if I'm wrong, but the attempt to call forth the target's soul would be assisted by those close to it. And teacher Lissetti, like, yes, however, you have to understand this is a grueling ritual. This will not be easy, and you, she looks at Arafe, have just been through a lot. I will only say to make what you deem each the smart decision.
Ark, hearing that, will look at Hideaki and say, I believe you are closer than I. Would you like to help and I will watch?
Kind of looks at Ark and kind of over to Arafe and over to teacher Ott. See, Ark was asking. I wasn't going to. And steps forward.
You see teacher Lissetti, who is still setting up the ritual, at hearing that, a little smile on like to the side of her face. And she nods and says, the both of you can help. What was your name again? She looks at Arafe.
My name is Arafe. I think these 2 will be the most helpful to you. However, if this takes a full day, you will all likely need things, and I will be here to assist in any way you need.
All right. Keep us fed, hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
Those are very critical. Well, we'll see what Pharasma has in store for this one.
And she says that Arafe is just going to like put her hand over her birthmark. And smile.
I don't think she doesn't like notice it at first, but when she does, like, because when you do that, she kind of looks at you curiously. You said your name was Arafe?
Yes.
Familiar. Okay. And she kind of like looks at Teacher Ott, who's
she's
like,
about to ask something, but sees that she's changed attention and pulls back. Like there's something more important right now.
Teacher Ott's like, kind of makes this like, definitely not the time right now, and kind of gets you all situated. Now comes an interesting question. All right, let's talk a little bit about the resurrect ritual.
Real quick before we do that.
Yes.
After like Airface sort of says that, hope. You give me hope.
Well, if that's what I can give, that is what I will do.
You already do. You don't have to try.
Ark will look over and say, I believe you'll be more useful in the future.
I love it.
That's the goal, my friend.
It's like Hideaki had a balloon and fucking Ark just popped it right.
It's like we're playing volleyball.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna set this one up real nice for you. And Ark just slams it from the other side.
He's trying his best. He was literally like to give you an insight to Ark's mind. He was like,
perfect.
He was like, these would be good words to help her want to stay and grow.
Yeah. Amazing.
And
You'll be better next time, kiddo.
Arafe giving to like, I know we've been together for 3 each other for like a year and a half at this point.
We lost you for a sec.
Oh, lost me for a sec.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like even though we've only been together for 3 days, we feel like we've known each other 3 years at this point. And she definitely understands like that is Ark being encouraging.
No doubt.
Takes it for what it is.
I love that.
All right. So resurrect. This was an interesting one because resurrect is a level 5 ritual. That's a big boy. It takes a full day to cast. It costs a diamond worth a certain value times the target's level. Does require 2 secondary casters, like we mentioned. It requires you to be at minimum, the primary caster has to be at minimum an expert in religion. And what it does is attempt to call forth the target's soul and return it to its body, like you would expect, like D&D, regular resurrection. It requires the target's body to be present, intact, relatively. I love that it says that, relatively intact. And the target must have died within the past year. If Pharasma has decided that the target's time has come, or the target doesn't wish to return, the ritual automatically fails. But that's after these checks. You don't know until it happens. Obviously, as all Pathfinder things are, there's a critical success, a failure, and a critical failure. Let's all pray it's not a fucking critical failure. Because literally, the critical failure starts with something goes horribly wrong. Okay.
What? In this game? No.
Nah.
We're really good at failing, so it's fine.
That's a level 5 spell, so that means the DC is like 40. So.
Right?
I see you, Tal, with your Pharasma. I see. You'll never know. Okay. So, it's 9:15. I
do it before.
think.
Do it before.
Do before. Let's do before.
Let us
Yeah,
have time to process our feelings if it goes wrong.
I gotta pee before all this happens.
Hear me out.
Listen.
Roll it before, but don't tell us what happens until after.
Oh my god, that's even more!
Why are you a
No,
sadist?
so
I thought we were rolling stuff first. Okay.
the ritual begins. The ritual begins.
Oh my god.
Now, this is going to take a full day, okay? A full freaking day. So, plenty of time to see what happens with Tal. Tal.
Wow, what a great segue that was.
Thank you.
Needs more fog in this room. Speaking of fog. As the fog machine, part of the ritual, obviously.
Yeah, weirdly, this fog starts rolling into the room. It's weird.
We are getting the call to make this a real-time thing.
A real-time 24 hours.
24 hours.
Let's go.
Oh my god. Call out of work. I'm not feeling good. Don't
It's a
do
Friday,
this to
it's
it.
fine.
I don't need to go to PT in the morning. It's fine.
Okay, so you said you didn't remember, right? That we left off with a. No, I don't remember.
Yeah, how can I? I don't remember who you are. Yeah.
The figure gestures to the mist around you. As you turn to look, you see shadows kind of like backlit through the mist, like as if there's a light somewhere in it. And you know how that makes the fog thicker when you shine a light through it? And you see these figures. And as this sort of shadow play starts telling a story around you, and you kind of like can clock it and follow it as the characters move, you look around you and around the campfire, and you kind of just watch this story surrounding you. The voice, this time, the figure kind of crosses their legs again, and then places both feet on the ground and kind of hunches forward. We'll tell you your story once more. Then you'll understand why we need you to choose. And this weird voice, kind of fluctuating between three different voices, begins to tell a story. So let's tell a story together. Olu. Grandmother Olu. Your grandmother, you recognize the name instantly, of course, but for the audience. Olu was a wizard's apprentice in the sprawling city of Absalom. With wealthy clients and a hard-working, talented assistant, this wizard grew to some wealth himself. It wasn't long before this wealthy wizard fell into an all-too-common trap of paranoia. He turned his focus to guarding his secrets, his success. He would secure his house and workshop with intricate traps and complex charms. Eventually, he forbid Olu, his assistant, to leave, claiming he needed her to guard his house, and if she were taken or kidnapped, she would be a liability. And this was the only way to keep her and his secrets safe. For the Amaroons, or catfolk, a life of solidarity and enclosure goes against their very nature. And so Olu struggled. When one day, and again, these kind of like, as scenes transition, like the mists fade and change and new figures kind of come in, one day she found a foolish rogue catfolk trying to break in. Instead of immediately shooing them away, they struck up a friendship. Eventually, a romance. the talented in her own right magician's apprentice managed to keep their trysts a secret for a while. But when she found out she was to be a mother, she knew that it was time to make their escape. The ever-paranoid wizard discovered this plot before she could enact it, and set a trap to kill the young thief the next time they stepped foot onto their grounds. Unfortunately, the next time the thief did come, the trap set off. An incredibly distraught Olu ran into one of the wizard's many rooms of magic artifacts, and in desperation to save the situation, seized the very first thing she could find. That called upon us, and the deal was struck. Olu, you see the figure of your grandmother, the patterning of her young fur looking so like yours now. And you see her standing in front of a shadow, looming shadow like the one you're in front of right now. And it weirdly fades into 3 and back into 1. And you hear Olu's voice saying, "I don't want to ever be trapped in one place again." And her safety and her daughters would be ensured. As it goes back into the figures' voices. So, we read the strings of fate. And these strings kind of take over in the fog. And a hand reaches and moves one string and shifted them. In return, when her triumvirate would be complete, we would call upon the maiden to fulfill the matriarch's due. The shadows fade from the fog, and you're back to looking at this figure. "Your string," says the elderly voice, "is unraveling, dear. We must reinforce it with another's. Which will it be, dear? The mother or the matriarch?"
What do you mean?
They gesture to the fog again, and 2 figures stand. If you look to your right is one, to your left is the other. One, the older, slightly more hunched figure, very recognizable as your grandmother, Olu. The other, your mother. "Wait!" The voice changes and the feet draw up to sit crisscrossed again. "I think there's more." And you look behind you. Ark, did you join the ritual?
Yes.
Hideaki, did you join the ritual?
Hell to the fuck yeah.
Arafe, in your own way, do you join the ritual? Yes. Behind you, you see, and as they kind of it's almost like they're approaching from small to like larger, as like they're coming through the mist, but it stops in shadow. You see the form of Hideaki. Weirdly looming behind him, a string to this huge looming form of a dragon. Huge, like way bigger than Overnoza. To the next to Hideaki, figure of Ark. Standing there, weirdly the lights of that run through their skin typically like cutting through as if like not shadow through the mist. It's like really weird. And then Arafe. Oddly, with Arafe, the shadow of Arafe stands and almost mirrored a little bit behind and a little bit shifted is a duplicate of Arafe's form. On the front end, my friends, outside of this fever dream or whatever we want to call it, Maria needs some time, I think, to think.
I don't know what I'm doing. No.
Welcome to ttrpgs.
So this is just give some behind the scenes, because I know with a lot of imagery sometimes some things can get lost. So I do want to like clarify. This place that you're in, for all intents and purposes, Tal, has interrupted your typical journey. These fogs, although no one really knows this, obscure you currently from Pharasma, the typical progress of a soul.
Cool.
In it, you were told this story, and by the way, as you were told this story, it was like hearing it, and as you process, you remember that you did know this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's this weird dichotomy of like hearing it for the first time and then being like, ah, yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember this now. Yeah. I don't relate to that.
How did I not know this? But I know this.
Did I dream this?
And then throughout all of these figures, basically stemming from you is a trail of mist, but it splits. And it looks like it's unraveling and like it's like going into smoke and like fading out. And each of these figures now kind of shadowed, standing in the mists around you are options. The last thing that this figure said, your string is unraveling.
Mm-hmm.
They must reinforce it from another's. And it's your choice.
I don't know what that implicates. What are the consequences? What does it mean?
What does it mean? On the front end, the ritual's progressing. Good ways in. It's exhausting. It's grueling. It is tiring for an already emotionally drained group of individuals. Arafe, as you go and come back with food, and however, you're still there. You're still helping. You're still going by and reinforcing your friends and doing your best. Overnoza sits, staring at you, waiting, concerned, and is there giving you sort of like just their presence, just as existence. And you feel a wariness and apprehension, a concern for you as you do this, and he kind of like, you feel through him that he's just like waiting for the thing that's immediately in front of you to not distract you anymore, you know? but he's trying his best to simply be there for you. Ark, let's start with you. How are you processing and what's going on in your head during all of this?
All right, first off, are we like actually in this space, this shadow space? Like,
No.
okay.
Yeah, only Tal sees these like shadowy representations of the fact that you're involving yourselves in the ritual in this way.
Okay. Then what is going on with us? If I could ask, like, obviously we're doing a ritual, but like, what am I processing? And then I can tell you.
So, in this ritual, you know, there's a couple of ways. You can assist through medicine. You can assist through society. Those are options for specifically the resurrect. However, you also know that like the original two casters that she had chosen as her secondaries, they can do those main things for the success of the actual resurrect ritual. What I want to offer y'all is creative license because I love that way more than the constraints of the ritual. The school is handling that. They're walking you through. You're assisting with the rituals similar to the last time. Do these motions, speak these phrases repeatedly, go around the room, burn this incense around the body, do this, do that. And there's physical ways to help and do. You could help emotionally. You can help by talking to Tal and telling her stories. You know, there's a lot of things. You know that your focus is either the ritual or helping this soul return to its body, whatever that means for you.
Okay, so I can't do both. I'm just asking.
I mean, you can, yes, like, I mean, you could be doing things and then also talking, but I want it to boil down to one check to like what your focus is on.
Yeah. All right. So Ark, what I imagine that Ark would do, like as a character, is he would be very almost, for lack of a better word, robotically focused on the ritual. Like, we messed this up, need to do this. The incense needs to be here. Oh, this line got slightly messed up by a foot. Let me redraw it. And he would just be like checking everything. But once we got down to the ritual itself, I think he just, having read about it, knowing rituals, and someone saying that he was close to Tau, would get close, like wherever he needed to be within the circle, and he would just lean down. He would put his hand close to Tau, but not touch them because he doesn't want to. And then say, I believe we have enough skilled people for you to come back. I don't think we will fail the ritual. I was told we are a team. I don't think we will be a team without you. And then he gets up.
Oh. Okay. Hideaki, do you want to go now or do you want to go after?
I can go now.
Okay.
Tal, I've read a lot of incredible stories in my short time, but I don't know if I've encountered a story more fascinating than yours. Which is amazing because we've only known each other for a short time. But you've made an incredible impact in me in ways I didn't really know possible. You've even said that I remind you of your older brother, even though I'm not, but I found myself wanting to be. Ultimately, I think I want to just make you proud. But I can't do that if you're not here. I refuse to believe that you're just a footnote in our story. If Everfey represents my hope, and Ark represents my knowledge, You represent my strength. Though you have spent several moments terrified and afraid, you've taught me that, really, for the very first time, it's okay to not be perfect. I wish you'd seen the ritual we failed already. It was fun. True camaraderie for the first time, I think. And I think that's because of you. So, come tell the story with us. Besides, you still have to take me to the circus, right?
As Tal, as Maria had stepped away very, very briefly for Waffles, would you be willing to repeat this, as I think it's important? Tal, in these moments, as you're looking at so I gave you the preface that these shadows came forward.
Mm-hmm.
But they come forward as each of them do this.
Okay.
So Ark came first, and you hear their voices kind of, while muffled and filtered, do filter through to you, and you hear this. So I do want you to hear what Ark said.
Okay.
Yeah, so outside Ark is bouncing around. He's fixing lines and making sure this incense doesn't get off of fire. He is just making sure everything is pinpoint, just kind of bouncing around chaotically almost. And then he kneels inside the circle, puts a hand on the ground close to Tal, but doesn't touch them, and says, "We have enough skilled people to successfully complete this ritual. I do not believe we will fail. I was told we are a team. I do not believe we would be a team without you." And then he gets up.
You heard Hideaki's. Arafe, earlier you grabbed some food for people to take quick little breaks, but you've been back for a little bit now. And you kind of were helping distribute some materials and some supplies, and you see Ark kind of say those words, and you hear Hideaki's, and you're welcome to have your own moment as well.
So, Arafe is going to switch course a little differently from those two. And she's going to trying her best to stay out of their way because they have a job to do. And she's just going to put her hand as close to Tal as she feels she won't be in the way. And she's actually going to speak to Pharasma instead. I mean, in the way that, you pray to a god.
Yeah.
And she's just going to say, "Not this one. Tal's not done yet. Tal has a beautiful soul wrapped in darkness that they are trying so hard to figure out where that light belongs. So I'm asking, as one that you have chosen, I have chosen them. Don't let them be done yet." Leave it at that.
Amazing. Okay. And I have a question for you, Maria. Would you like to make your choice now or after break?
Oh God.
Rip that Band-Aid off.
Jeez.
Oh.
I want to make it after break.
Let's do it after break.
All right.
Perfect.
I have it in my head. I want to do it after break.
All right, my friends. This has been amazing. I'm so excited. This is the most amazing group of players I've ever just fucking amazing. So
Hold
kudos to
on,
every single
hang
one
on,
of you.
hang on. Timeout, big timeout. Red flag on the field, ma'am. Listen.
How dare you?
Also, though, what the hell with all of that, though? Thank you, though.
Yeah.
I would like to make an intimidation check against Syrup to make them make more credit. Take more credit.
Make them take more credit.
Make them take more credit.
I will. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I will say that it,
Pass this time.
This time.
Even broke Karen. Fuck yeah, I can retire. I'm out of here.
I was like at a loss at the end of the other session. And I was like, the most important thing for me is to always have weight to anything that like this that happens, and I think we've talked about this before.
This is heavy. This is weighty.
Because you get like these decisions have to matter and these things have to matter. So I will say I was at a loss for a very long time until I found a thread, and I always appreciate and say thank you to those that I get to like talk to be like, what the fuck do I do? And it's a weird situation because I can't talk to Waffles about this, and there's the typical GM issues. So I just want to shout out to my two friends, Deli and Lori, for letting me be like, so how about this?
Plus, I think you're at a disadvantage. I think in a way where like typically a level 1 character death, it's like, all right, roll the character sheet, roll it up, and see you later. But unfortunately, everything's awesome, and we're really good at this shit. So yeah,
Yeah, you guys have these are pretty weighty level 1 characters.
yeah. So
I'd point out that we're still level 1, and this is.
I'm ready to skip
Still
the
level
next
1.
2 chapters and just be level 3 or something.
yo,
Yeah, I know.
We've gained the
know.
experience points from all this, right?
yo. Is this on the text?
But we're gonna find out Tal's decision after
Oh,
break.
boy.
We love y'all very much. Stick around.
Thank you for being here.
Take care
Yeah.
of yourselves, and
Yeah.
we'll see you in just a little bit.
Get you some whiskey. We're
Be
gonna
right back.
need
Stick
it.
around. You have to figure out this decision.
Tell what's your favorite.
Hello, welcome back. We have a decision to make.
We
The
We.
royal we.
The royal we in which
Well, I know my
Tal
answer.
is the royal individual. So just to bring us back in, a ritual is being conducted. It is a long and grueling day in which throughout that day, Ark, Hideaki, and Arafe have each said their words to Tal. One to Pharasma, technically.
Tangentially said to Tal.
You know.
Tal heard it.
Tal, in your odd, muffled environment, this forest clouded with cloud cover along with mist rolling through the trees, you identify these individuals coming forth, and you hear their voices again muffled throughout, and you hear their plea to you, their connection to you. They're saying, please come back to us. However, in front of you, aside from this looming figure who seems to keep shifting from hunched forward, legs on the ground, to leaning back, legs crossed, to pulled in, eager and crisscross applesauce. Sorry, dogs are chewing on bones. Great audio for our podcast listeners. Enjoy.
Let's go.
Your moment is in.
And a choice is being requested of you that a debt is still due. And so you must make a choice. The original choices offered to you are between your mother and your grandmother. And the request is that your lifeline, your string rather, is unraveling. And they mentioned earlier, for your reference, they mentioned fate strings. They said, and so we pulled at the strings of fate. And they changed the course for your grandmother. So your string is unraveling. And they must reinforce it with another's. Which will it be?
Tal looks back and forth between their new but fast friends. And as they were coming out of like the shadows and everything, Tal was standing. Tal is standing at this point, and turns and looks back and forth between their friends and their family, and looks back at this figure, and what am I choosing though? Is it are they going to, is anything going to happen to them?
Are you asking of us to check?
I don't know what I'm deciding. I don't...
The strings of fate, the legs kind of cross and lean back, are tricky. We do not want to push our luck. Eyes are on us as well. We simply wish to ensure our due. And the legs kind of put down on the ground and lean forward, and the voice ages. It depends. But your fate would be intertwined with another. You have so many options now.
They just look at the fire, very overwhelmed and confused. Do I have to choose only one?
The legs kind of come up into a crisscross, and it leans forward, and it's just like, you can't have it all. Being greedy is bad, and besides, it just doesn't work that way. Would you want to, like, endanger the others too?
I don't want to put anyone in danger.
Well,
choosing...
you gotta live.
But does that mean someone else is going to be hurt or be in danger?
The legs cross again, and like it leans back. We're not going to be cutting any strings, simply reinforcing yours.
But doesn't that mean that someone
I'll put it
else
to you
is...
plainly. If you were to come back here again, it would be bad for them too. But if you live, so will they.
But how is that fair? They don't get to choose. Why do I have to choose for them?
Both legs sit on the ground. You didn't have a choice in this. But your grandmother made it for you. Now it's your turn.
they'll look towards their grandmother, in her older and wizened state. And in her mind, they think she's absolutely done far more for me than anyone should have. I will not ask this of her.
I love this insight. Give me.
And she looks to their mother, who has been there and has loved them and supported them as best as they could. And knows the hole that would be taken, that would be punctured in their family if she were to somehow no longer be there without any, surprisingly or something like that. So Tal would not want to take her from anyone else, even if by accident. And
That leaves your friends.
Tal turns to these three people who she didn't know existed less than a week ago, but who have already taught her so much about herself and how the world can be. And she stares for a very long time, looking over these three and occasionally glancing up to the giant form of what presumably is the Orn of the
It's a cool thing because, you know how the mist is stronger at the bottom of the trees and slowly dissipates. It's like the form kind of the shadow dissipates into the sky galaxies.
And they look at them and they shake their head and say, "How am I supposed to choose?" I know any of them would do it, but I don't. And she just kind of starts to tears start to well up in her eyes as she looks at these wonderful people.
The figure kind of legs go up again into a crisscross, and she's just like, "Come on, you can make the decision. I'm getting bored."
Tal will take a few steps forward towards these three. And will stand as equidistant as possible.
You feel the form of the huge figure stand behind you, casting a shadow over you, and a hand extends kind of outwards so that it's, if you're standing away from them, they're behind you, it kind of shows up to your left, and in this old withered hand is a pair of shears. And the hand to your right extends on the other side of you, a good distance away from you. This figure is huge. And a young, like childish hand is holding a golden thread wrapped like a wheel, whatever you call those. I forget what you call those, bales of yarn or whatever. And it seems like anticipatory.
Tal, still with tears now, like silent tears kind of streaming down their face, reaches over and grabs the shears with a very shaky hand. And looking at her friends, closes their eyes and just kind of very quietly says, "I'm sorry you couldn't choose," and is going to step over to Hideaki.
As you do, you see this golden string emerging from Hideaki, and it sort of emerges from the center of his chest and waves in the air, circling almost loosely around them and up behind. The thread going through Overnosa as well, kind of disappearing into the mist. You know what you have to do. In front of you is a strand coming out of yours, but with frayed edges. With the string, you need to tie the end of yours to Hideaki's and cut Hideaki's end and attach it to yours.
The figure of Ornoza, does it, because I assume that these three figures of my three friends aren't like looking at me necessarily. They're kind of like ghosty spectral things. Is that
they're like
accurate?
shadow figures, so it's hard to see. They're not, there's no eyes.
What about Ornoza though? That
So
I'm curious about.
Yeah. You look up, and like I'm gonna hold my headphones because it's like, you just kind of look up and up and up. Yep. It's odd because basically with the form behind you, you see the tail kind of wrapping around some of the body, and the wings seem to spread out over the sky. And as you finally look all the way up, there is two glowing copper eyes that are almost like stars from that far away, looking down.
They're not gonna shout because they have a feeling that they'll be able to be heard. But before they cut any threads on Hideaki, they'll say to Ornoza, "Tell him I'm sorry, please." And then we'll...
In this little classroom that we are all standing in, I would like some checks, please.
There it is.
The choice has been
Is it too
made.
early to pee again?
Nervous peeing.
I just got back from peeing and I had to pee. That is so tracks. Yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's go. I'm ready.
Okay. Primary check is done by me. And we're going to do this a little bit weird because I care about this more than I do about, I want to focus more on this than the ritual, because it's being done by NPCs. So, we're going to do, hold on. Think for a moment what check you want to make in this case, okay? It's not going to be the secondary checks of the resurrection. You can... I want a reason. I want a reason as to why you're doing this check. If it's religion, because of your connection, whatever you want. And if it's something that represents Tal, that's fine too. Or your connection with Tal, however. So you tell me, starting with Ark.
Ark would like to make a thievery check as he steals stuff off Tal's bot. No, I'm just kidding.
There's plenty to do. So.
Amazing.
I'm just kidding.
It's another
But Art,
chicken.
but like, listen.
The chicken from episode 1.
Loot the corpse.
Loot the corpse.
Skyrim.
Let's go.
I felt like we needed a
steals it.
slight moment of levity
No, I
there.
appreciate it so much.
This ring and that earring and that bracelet. There's so many. She'll never
There's
even know.
so many to choose from. There's so many trinkets.
Yeah. Speaking of trinkets, if you would allow me, I think Ark's decision was he doesn't know, like he understands that the soul needs to come back, but he doesn't think he's close enough, which is why he decided to allow Hideaki to go if only one of them could.
Right.
So Ark looks at his scarf for a minute and rips a very small corner of it off and ties it to Tal's charm bracelet. And I would like to make a
Amazing.
crafting check.
I love that. Yes, please.
I'm gonna cry.
Hold on. Don't roll it just yet.
your bonus
okay? We're all going to.
It's a reaction. Listen.
We're gonna roll it when everybody's ready, but I want to hear everybody's reasons.
Okay.
Can I use
Hideaki.
one of my 3 actions to cry, please?
Crying is a free action.
Oh, super cool.
I would like to spend all 3 actions crying, please.
I would like to act together to cry.
I would like to cry together, please.
So who's next, Syrup?
Hideaki.
Oh, well, mine's really easy. Mine is diplomacy because Hideaki, both selfishly and unselfishly, because there is more. They've unlocked. By they, I mean Tal has unlocked this very hidden portion of Hideaki that was never meant to come out. He came in here 3 days ago ready to bulldoze this place. He was going to own this shop. And for many reasons, that has not happened. And the reason why he is only now okay with failing in some way is because of his relationship with Tal. So he needs them. But on the flip side, I think that that sort of he doesn't have an older or he doesn't have any older siblings, so he doesn't even know what being an older brother looks like. He's just guessing, like almost to the point of like gaslighting them, like in a very strange way.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that to say, he's okay with it being selfish.
Overnoza questions you for a moment in time. Kind of, throughout all of this.
Sure.
Why does she mean so much to you?
Yeah, I've been asking myself that question for 3 days. But I think it's because you know how Kazushi hasn't written me back yet? I'm starting to think that that's less of a postal situation.
It's been 3 days.
Idiot.
He doesn't. Amazon, no.
Email.
I subscribe to
magic.
Prime. I pay for Prime.
I playing
The
for
message
Magaambya
says-
Prime.
The message is on sent. It says it's been read. I don't know why they're not messaging.
Well,
me.
Know why?
The truth is Kazuki didn't choose to be my friend. The hierarchy sort of dictated that. That's why everyone treats me so strange. Tal's the first person that really, truly connected with me. I didn't even want that. And
Will
want
you
them-
let this hold you back?
there's a bit of a pause. Hold me back from what?
Everything you can be.
Never.
Let's not regret that.
I don't even know what that word means, and I have the dictionary.
There's a snort like that kind of puffs out of Overnosa, even physically. This conversation being entirely communicated mentally, of course.
Sure.
Okay. And he lets you be.
Before that connection ends.
Yeah.
One last thing. I didn't even trust you.
Of course not. That's why I chose you.
So maybe you should be worried about regretting your decision.
We'll see. Only time will tell. I believe you have a future. One that'll make us both proud.
You gotta take me to the astral plane someday.
You'll get there. You'll come visit me. Okay. So you're going to be making a diplomacy
I am.
and Airfay.
Trying to decide if I do what I can do well or what would make sense. And I think I'm going to go with makes sense. So I'm just going to keep going along with the bidding the gods portion that she's been doing. So I'm going to go with a religion check.
Beautiful.
And what she's going to do is she's going to put her hand over Tal's heart and put her own hand over her symbol.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to say, I haven't asked you for anything. Not even to get back what I lost. Not to help me regain it all. But I'm asking you this. Let us take Tal home. That's it.
When you have your hand kind of over your symbol, you kind of can see it a little bit. I'll look up so you have the camera can see it on stream too.
Yeah.
You see the shadow of my hand that covers over? When you do that and the shadow of the hand underneath you appears, you feel it almost hold your hand and gives it a little squeeze. And then, you touch your skin and the shadow kind of flattens. Okay. Everybody, please roll your checks.
Oh.
I will remind you
I don't
that every...
I refuse.
I want to ask a question before... Actually, sorry. Sorry.
Do the thing. But wait, hang on. It's just like...
Hold on a second.
Yeah,
One
no,
second,
I
one
realize.
second.
I want to make sure... I want everybody on board. We all have hero points. Every single one of you has a hero point.
Yup.
In this type of situation, I want everybody's to come to an agreement first. Are hero points allowed in this role? or would you like it to be as is? And I don't think it takes away because I think you put a lot into this. So if you want to use that hero point, that's yes, Tal.
So as this is playing with fates, narratively, I think having the hero points as a way to alter fate,
Manipulate fate, yeah.
applies.
I
That is
love
my
that reasoning.
don't necessarily need to roll outside opinion. Me.
Maria provided like real context. I was just like, "Fuck yeah!"
I was like, hell yes, but also here's like an
Here's a
extra
narrative.
push.
No, I
Yeah.
love it.
Narrative,
Absolutely.
a reason for it.
Yeah.
And you are a fate witch, technically.
Yeah, my
Right
patron is
here.
fate, so all
There
of
you
this
go.
is active. This
Oh.
is listen. There's a real
Cracking.
reason.
Honestly, I think this is like when hero points should be used because
For sure.
Yeah,
I
this
mean,
is what
they
it's
can
for,
save
yeah.
your life, and at the end of the day, like in my opinion, we put a lot into this, and so like
I
if
agree.
I rolled a natural
Yeah, we
2,
did.
I would
Right.
I would be like, that's not what Arc did, you know, like
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I really just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page with that one. Okay.
100%.
All right. No more interruptions. Roll.
All right, let's go.
Let's go.
Okay. So we can use hero points.
Correct.
Yes, you can use one hero point.
Oh, thank God. Okay,
Natural-
I'm using a hero point.
natural
Yep,
18
I'm also
for
using a hero point.
25.
Beautiful.
Oh fuck yeah, that's way better.
That was an emotional roller coaster.
Oh,
I had
God.
a nat 1,
No.
and then I rolled a nat 20.
Oh,
Amazing.
gods, come at me.
It was a roller coaster of emotions
Oh my
that I was
God.
not ready for at the end of the
Yeah,
night.
yeah, I
So
rolled-
for my
okay.
religion, then that will be a 18.
Okay.
Oh
You have a
god.
minus
Okay.
2 in religion. Oh wait, because you're
That's-
stupefied.
Yeah,
right?
I saw that. Yeah.
Right. But
But you're not stupefied anymore.
It's a critical success no matter what. It's a natural 20, which is nice.
Oh,
There
sweet.
you go.
Well, it
It bumps it up
increases
one.
the success by 1 and an 18. Yes, it would be.
Yeah, I
Excellent,
went from
amazing.
a nat 3 to a natural 15, which is a 21.
Oh, beautiful. Okay.
Fucking go.
So with success, target, making sure they okay. And I rolled a fucking natural 20. I shit you not.
Oh man.
I should have. Here, I'm gonna screenshot this and send this because it's beautiful and we all
Do it.
deserve to see this.
Flips table. Carrick is so upset.
Eric's like, no, no.
That was amazing.
Hot
Okay.
damn.
All right.
Hot fucking.
That right
damn.
there, that's a sexy roll. That right
That's
there,
a sexy roll.
that is a good one right there.
All right. Here's what happens. In the moment, towards the, again, grueling. Guys, you guys are exhausted. This is a full day of just ritual, nonstop. It is difficult. It is taxing, and you're putting your all into this, and it shows. And Tal, as you make that decision, as you take that step forward, literally, these 3 shadows glow like a light behind them. They almost feel like 3-dimensional from 2-dimensional at this point. Like there's this presence in the mist as you step forward. You cut one end of Hideaki's string. The hand of the figure behind you holding the I really wish I knew the word. Thing of spool. Thank you. Spool of yarn of golden thread reaches in front, deftly ties it to the end that you released and pulls it out. And as they pull their hand, it extends to yours and deftly ties it. And like, it's funny because these like there's magic heavy in the air. This is so tense. You have tears and you just look at these little tied string with a bow, like you know, like this hand literally tied that you're like, this is really,
is
you know,
What's going on here?
yeah, and this golden thread like glows and it just shines, until this brightness and brilliance and white light kind of like makes you squint and envelops everything you see around you. With one last glance behind you, you notice Nim still sitting this entire time on this figure's shoulder. And it jumps down and starts walking towards you before the light kind of encompasses your vision. Well, in the classroom, the ritual ends. And Teacher Lissetti steps back, exhausted. Even she shows it, like, on her face. She takes a breath and simply says, well, it's done. We'll give it some time and we'll see what both this one and Pharasma have decided.
How much time does it take?
It depends how exhausted the journey is.
Journey?
And of the soul.
So not long.
Tell, you experienced everything you experienced. It's up to you if this is something that you would come back into your body and wake suddenly, or if this is going to take some time for you to situate yourself back into your body.
Or do you say screw us and stay dead?
I'm gonna just take a nap, y'all.
I'm taking Hideaki with me.
I'm not doing this alone.
Not again.
Goku like leaving Kinkai's place. Like
It takes time for them to come back. Because they are afraid of what is going to happen when they come back and have to confront the reality of what they just chose. So I think that Tal knows where they're going. They're just so scared that they've just made a choice for someone that is way bigger than they had any right to make.
It's a rough place to be.
And it's combated by this idea of like, I want to get back to my friends so bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And actually, yeah, I mean, the way when you left,
Mm-hmm.
and when I say left, I mean left.
Yep.
It was appended by a lot of frustration and failure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, nothing was going y'all's way at all
Mm-hmm.
for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with Tal, like, even though you remember all of that, like, as you settle back in and as you kind of, you have that hesitation, you have that fear, you have that anxiety, the last kind of thing that you remember is when you were laying in that bed before you fell asleep, before you passed, was all of them in the room with you, taking care of you. Mm-hmm. You remember Hideaki carrying you back in the rain, and you remember laying in that bed and kind of like opening your eyes just a little bit and seeing them all in that room with you. And however long that takes and that process takes for you is when you finally stir. For the rest of you, Teacher Ott, after the ritual, Teacher Lissetti, and they all basically leave to rest after such a long, arduous task. Teacher Ott comes by, doesn't even ask you, simply, like, doesn't ask you if you want to go or leave or however, but brings you some pillows and blankets to settle down there in that classroom until an answer is found. So you probably rest. You probably, whoever decides if you get any sleep or not, but, a full day has passed. And probably by morning, first person to check will see a rise and fall to Tal's chest as she breathes again, as they breathe again.
So actually.
Yeah, no, tell me.
I do want to know who is sleeping and who is not.
Yes, please.
Me, because I know when I'm waking up, and it's gonna be a different time.
I feel like Arafe, even though she doesn't want to, is going to fall asleep. I mean,
Yeah, you fucking exhausted.
the whole disease is stupefied.
I beg of you.
the aftermath of the disease. Like, I think she would try and stay up as long as possible, and fight it as long as possible, but she wouldn't be able to fight it at some point.
I think there's a conversation where, like, he looks at Overnoza. If I nod off, you scream inside my head. Like, like there's an absolute, like, no fucking chance is he falling asleep. No matter what.
He does check in as, like, you need your rest.
Rest can wait, because I'm not dying, right? I think I'm not. I think I'm
In the grand scheme of things, or right now?
That's a whole different conversation, but it's...
I will wake you up, yes.
I feel like my relationship with death is very different now.
I apologize for the ill-timed joke. You will be awoken.
I feel like from your perspective, like, you're really old and stuff, or like maybe you're already dead and like coming. We have a lot of things to talk about now I think about it. So, like, let's.
You see Overnoza when you said that, like, when you say, like, oh, you're probably already dead, like, you see him and he's kind of like, and he looks away from you for just a second and comes back and he just, like, because he's already said, like, I'll wake you up, so he's just kind of like letting you
For an ancient dragon, your buttons are really easy to push, you know that?
Thank you.
But I will give you credit where credit's due, because if you are lying about that, like, just your physical reaction, you're a fucking genius, and I respect you even more.
I guess you'll never know. And you can hear in his tone, like, it's this, like, grandfathery, like...
No doubt.
Not exasperation, like, yeah, okay, that kind of a mood of, like, you actually feel a little bit of a distance. You feel like he's not 100% in your headspace as you guys normally are, which is a weird feeling. And it's not like he can keep anything from you, but he's simply thinking, he's processing, you know what I mean? He's definitely has his thoughts potentially elsewhere.
That's really interesting to me as Jacob, because the way I've always played it is Overnoza knows everything that I'm thinking about, but I don't know the runway doesn't, or the highway doesn't connect.
Yeah, I mean, it can, because we have an interesting situation with your Eidolon that we're doing. I mean, it is a connection. His soul is intertwined with yours, as far as that's how, like, Eidolon lore works. But it is a manifestation of him here when he resides in the astral plane. So there's, you feel what he feels. You definitely, there's that emotional connection. You can't erase that. But I think that he can maintain some thoughts outside of that.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
What's Ark doing?
Yeah, Ark would be not sleeping. He does have to sleep as an android. He has to sleep like a human would.
He's an android?
Oh my gosh.
Nani?
But in front of everyone, he would not be sleeping. He would actually be in a corner just reading through his book. Honestly, probably presenting as if absolutely nothing was wrong when they were all just hanging out in the room.
I just want to note that it's absolutely cracking me up that the little Kirby face from your blanket is just popping in and out sometimes.
That's amazing.
It's just like little Kirby was on your shoulder. All right. Anyways, okay. All right. There's your answer.
Okay, then. I think it would probably be maybe a couple of hours before sunrise then. Or like as the sun is like just like there's just a hint of like light starting to come in. Not enough to wake people up, but just enough to like be there. So most of the night.
Yep.
And Tal's eyes slowly open. And they take a shaky, deep breath. And then very slowly start to sit up. And kind of take in their surroundings. And I think they would probably see Arafe first, who's just super zonked out.
Knocked out, yeah.
So zonked.
I feel like she's like still next to the table and just kind of like, I'm just gonna sit down for a minute and just
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Oh yes, this metal table, like great pillow.
Good.
Her cheeks like up on it.
There's a little bit of drool going down the leg.
Do you make
It's on my robe.
Do you make a visible head turn to Arafe?
Yeah, I'm also sitting up. Like I'm sitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would like look down to Arafe and like reach down and just kind of like very gently like give you like a little bit of a head like a little like just kind of like very 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 gently just like kind of pet your hair a little bit, not trying to wake you up at all.
Arc,
But there's like a contented and a smile.
Arc seeing that would like his face would probably stay in his book. He's trying to give like you the time to do whatever you want, but he would just kind of blurt out from behind the book. I say blurt out, like in this voice he would blurt out, "She is okay. She was healed."
Quickly, I feel like also sluggishly because I've been dead for a day.
When that happened?
When that happened? How do I feel? I do want to know how I feel.
Yeah.
Actually.
So here's
How
what
I
I'm
be
gonna do. I ain't gonna be the one to let 2 nat 20s go undeserved.
Sure, yeah.
Unrewarded.
So here's what a critical success does for resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
You resurrect the target.
Excellent. Good. That's a good
Wonderful.
start.
Controversial.
Oh man.
I love when they start with a really short sentence. Like it's okay. They resurrect it.
Okay.
Spoilers.
Good.
It works.
They return to life with full hit points.
Oh. God damn.
And
Oh.
the same spells prepared and points in their pools they had when they died.
Nice.
Now, you still are suffering any long-term debilitations
Okay.
of the old body. So I will say let's kind of meet in the middle with hold on.
I was stupefied 3.
Let's make you stupefied 1, just a little bit.
Yeah, I was about to
Just
say,
a little bit.
I would have the argument that Tal stayed sleeping for a while. So like they got the long rest. But yeah.
Because they're dead.
Exactly.
Best sleep you'll ever
Yeah,
get.
best sleep.
You don't. Yeah, I honestly, if it's not for any, get rid of the stupefied. It's fine.
okay,
The
cool.
long-term debilitations, like as of right now.
I meant more like less mechanically and more
Physically.
like
Right. Yeah, just kind of look. Your brain has been through a lot.
yeah, correct.
Interestingly, a critical success says the target meets an agent of their deity during the resurrection who inspires them.
Cool.
This is a little bit different for you.
Different. Yep. Yep.
But I will say this weird lifeline reinforcement that you kind of now have will grant you a +1 status bonus currently. +1 status bonus to attack rolls, perception, saving throws, skill checks for 1 week.
Oh, how lovely!
That's
Yes.
cool.
That's very cool.
Will I remember
Now, the
that?
target-
I don't think so, but I'll try.
The target is also permanently changed in some way by their time in the afterlife, so to speak. They suggest things such as gaining a slight personality shift, a streak of white in the hair, or a strange new birthmark. I will say you have connected yourselves to Hideaki. Hideaki is connected to Overnoza. Overnoza and his connection is displayed by a symbol. I want you to choose. This is entirely in your control, but I do want to say that there is that symbol that can represent that. If you want that to show up in, like, you know, the pattern of your fur somewhere, or
Where the red fern
however,
grows.
that's just an addition. But it is up to you to decide what has changed. And if you need time, that's cool too.
I think it's a couple of things. One is more easily seen and one is not. The one that I like your idea a lot, and I would like that one. Is I think on, well, they're both seen, but one is more noticeable than the other. I think on their arm, the pattern of their fur changes to be very reminiscent of the same symbol that Hideaki has.
Hideaki, is it the star, or is it that dragon symbol that I had drawn that one time?
It's great question. I was thinking the what's it, octa something?
The star thing?
Yeah, with the blue behind it was what I was specifically thinking.
Okay.
Cool.
Also, dragons are really cool, so up to you. It's your birthmark. What do you want to do?
I think it's gonna be. Okay, here's what it is. It is two. It's all right. Stick with me. It's two of those star-like shapes, right, next to each other, but around in kind of like a figure 8 pattern is a dragon shape, intertwining the two of them together.
Cool.
Very cool.
I love that.
Yeah. The thing that is more noticeable, however, to re-describe to friends who may be unfamiliar, Tal has very interesting eyes to begin with. They are, I don't remember the term for it. They're two different colors, but
in one iris. Two different colors in one iris.
Correct. So they're both identical, but they're split down the middle, up and down, and they're two different colors. One on the left side, one on the right side, stuff like that. Their eyes are now gold in color.
Ooh.
Instead of the
entirely?
I think instead of
one half.
I think it replaced because I think it was like brown and like a teal blue, if I remember correctly.
I'll go look at your character and find out.
Yes, they
I know
are.
that it was like brown and blue. Okay, the brown is now gold.
Cool.
Like a brilliant,
like a kind of shining.
Yeah, like a very shiny
It's like
gold.
You didn't close your eyes fast enough when that golden thread like shone, and it's that same shine.
Yeah. Okay, excellent, great. So with all of that and hearing Ark make a comment, they'll quickly turn with like their ears like perked up towards you, and would just smile and say hello.
And like I think that's the moment Hideaki absolutely breaks. So there's just like gentle sobbing from like underneath the table.
And then, I just hear it. And I'm like,
What the fuck is that? Yeah.
what?
You hear
He's just-
kind of.
'cause he's just.
Sorry, you hear kind of from the background. She is okay. It is okay.
And oh, sorry. And you realize that your hand has been held the whole time.
Oh. Hearing that, seeing that, Tao would slide off the table and, like, in one swift motion would slide off and just fall on top of you and hug you so tightly and just immediately start bawling.
Which wakes me up.
Oh, yeah,
Perfect.
100%.
And
It's the table shifts from the
Yeah,
hug,
no
so you're
doubt.
like you're.
yeah, it's like you're like, "Ugh!" like you're
Yeah.
like and like as you like move, you're like, wait, whoa.
Oh yeah, as like super hefty and chaotically
100%.
this teeny tiny like 60-pound cat person
Yep.
can be.
Yep, exactly. But he wasn't ready. And he just welcome back.
I saw you all there.
And kind of like releases the hug. Where?
I don't know exactly. But I heard you all.
Great.
Art immediately perks up, puts the book down. You said you saw us.
Kind of. I think it was you. I heard you all speaking to me. Or to someone else.
He stares for a moment. In your dreams, or wherever you were while dead.
Yeah. There was someone else too.
Ooh.
I don't remember if they have a name, and I don't remember. I think they're the ones who gave me my magic. But I don't quite remember everything. They had to remind me.
You know what helps me when I don't remember something? I'm trying to remember something and I can't put it together. Food. You hungry? Erica, you have snacks, right?
We have lots of snacks. And she'll start pulling out like juice and water and muffins and all this stuff that she just brought that she wasn't sure how much they would need to eat. So I pretty much just walked into the cafeteria and said all the things for different reasons.
Oh, you missed something really interesting. I totally stole a hang glider.
Why?
No reason.
Yeah, while you were dead, I just stole a hand glider. I just
No,
needed
just
to hide,
fun.
like,
I just
Committed
fine.
Grand Theft Auto, no big deal.
yeah. I needed to process my emotions, so I just committed some crimes.
It's fun to do bad things.
I'm sad. Let's go do crime.
Accurate.
He said you
Magaambya Theft Auto.
I think that they they start eating a muffin slowly because they haven't eaten in a bit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure.
And they'll like glance over and see Oranoza, and then like their eyes get a little bit wider, and they look back towards Hideaki. And then they don't say anything, and they just kind of like eat. They get very
Yeah.
interested in eating their muffin.
When Overnoza, like, when you look at Overnoza, Overnoza's like, because if he's been out, like, he's just kind of been curled up, like, laying
Yeah.
flat on the floor. Kind of lifts his head, looks at you, and again, there's just the glowing eyes and no reaction, nothing. He just shifts a little like a cat would and turns his head the other way and kind of goes back to laying there.
Interesting.
Perhaps
Be
later.
inside Sir's brain right now. What's happening in there?
Let me
On
in.
the spot
Let me in.
things.
Little piggy, let me in.
You have the ears. It's a fox, not a wolf, but that's okay.
Yeah, what can you do?
Yeah.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Well,
Oh my god, we have a. I kind of forgot we have a school to go to.
Right.
I don't know if you all agree, but that sounds awful today.
Yeah, that's totally true. Can I show you guys something?
Of course.
We have to make a bit of a road trip though, so we don't have to do it right now. But I need to show you all something. I gotta head back to my room first, but we're gonna head out to the forest for a second.
May I ask what?
You may, but I'd rather show you. It's important to me.
Of course.
Something I need to let go of.
As you kind of re-energize yourselves, probably all tired and such, at some point, Teacher Ott comes in the morning early to check on you. He looks incredibly relieved to see Tal, and he will kind of gather you all to just say, like, given the circumstances, if you would like the day to yourselves to recuperate and simply process, we can definitely do that. I also want to offer that if at any point you guys, any of you together or alone, need to process, my door is open. I believe that these kinds of things, while this school promotes great learning and opportunities that are more than I ever imagined when I was a student, it is my personal mission to support the students in more than just factual knowledge and practice. And what's in here He touches his heart. And here, touches his head. Sometimes need to be organized before we can excel in our academic studies. And I hope to improve the school where that lacks. And as such, my door is open.
Like when you tell someone to go to the library.
He looks at you and he's just like, that would be for the factual learning.
I think we'll take you up on the rest day. I think we need to evaluate a few things and unfortunately learn some lessons that we all wish we wouldn't have had to. But I don't know about the rest of you. I feel like being here is even more important than it's ever been.
Ark will pipe up. He'll nod as Airface speaking, and then say, "Do you have anything for me to study on our rest day?"
I will, kind of looks at Arafe, I will let Ignacy know that you're not needed today. And he looks at you, Ark. Is there a particular topic of interest?
Whatever comes next.
I'll find you a book.
He nods.
Everybody just smiles at Ark.
And as you guys kind of gather yourselves and whether that's go back to the dorms or wherever you're next to have that day off to process, Ark, in this time over the night, did you do anything?
Yeah, so taking the rest day, Ark obviously goes back and studies. Eventually, knowing he hasn't got a letter back, he understands kind of the time, especially with how far away he used to live. He does sit down on his bed, and he writes out another letter, and kind of the camera panning over his shoulder. We see a much longer letter than last time, very perfectly written. I was able to participate in a ritual to bring someone back from the dead today. It was quite a good learning experience. There was a lot of information to gain, including the meeting of entities while deceased. These entities gave this person their powers. I believe, seeing this, I may need to die at some point.
God damn it. Amazing. No. I love him so much.
To take a step closer towards our goal. Prior to that, I need those close that would want me back. It remains to be seen. Please advise. Ark.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Oh,
So
My
fucking
heart.
that hurt.
My heart.
How dare you? On today, the
Sounds
day of my
logical.
rebirth day.
The day of my,
Oh my god.
the day of my daughter's wedding.
Amazing. I know that Waffles had that ready, but please, each of you can take the opportunity, if you so choose, to process. We'll end it here as we collect ourselves for a day off. And although a lot has happened, you're welcome to either write your own diary letter or a letter to somebody, or however you so choose, and share that in the Discord as we have done in the past, and to be potentially shared next session or however we want.
The thing that I want to show everybody we can do next session.
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
Because
It's gonna take some time.
not long.
Okay, but we could make it take a whole episode.
We definitely could.
Do you want to be level 2? That's all I'm asking.